everybody. My name is Massimiliano Caranzano, and I am an artificial intelligence specialist at Cisco Systems. I went through many technology innovation phases and I would say revolutions in my career. Also big ones like the internet revolution or the mobile one or currently the digital revolution we are experiencing these days. But what is coming with the artificial intelligence is well beyond everything I experienced in my history, and it's going to really literally change everything, everything in the way we live, in the way we play, and especially in the way we work. To the point that when I have to explain my view and my feeling on what is happening, it's even difficult. It's even a challenge. And so today I would like to share with all of you an example of something which happened already thanks to artificial intelligence, which is really relevant to understand the potential and the power and the kind of changes this technology is bringing to us. And I'm going to talk about a topic which is very important because it's about life. It's the impact that artificial intelligence had and is having today in life science. And so I'm going to tell you a story, which is a story of technology used by clever, smart, creative people. So it's really, one of the messages I'm always passing to customers, to colleagues, to friends, to everybody about artificial intelligence, because sometimes they are a little bit scared, worried about artificial intelligence. Replacing them at work, or when you talk about companies, about artificial intelligence hitting the business of a company. Well, that's not the point. It's not artificial intelligence, your competition, regardless you are an individual or you're a company. It's someone using artificial intelligence, your competition. So that's the message. We need to understand this technology. We have to take advantage and use that to become better, to become more productive, more efficient, to speed up the rate of innovation in our life or in our business. So that's really the true power of this revolution. And I think this example is very well spot on. I'm going to talk about the bricks of life, which are the proteins. So fundamentally, a protein is like a chain, and each individual ring of this chain is an amino acid, which could be of 20 different types. So imagine a long chain, which could be hundreds of rings connect to each other in a proper sequence, and every ring could be of 20 different colors. And well, that's a protein, and there are literally millions of proteins, which are the fundamental bricks of our life. They are so important, even in our body, for example. Everything works thanks to proteins. And if there is a problem with the protein, there is most likely a big problem with life. So as you can understand, learning the secrets of proteins is very much important for healthcare, but not just for healthcare, for every industry and every sector which has to deal with biology in this planet, fundamentally. So it's very difficult already to understand what is the proper sequence of amino acids to create the right chain with the proper order and therefore the right protein. But you have to consider that it's not just the sequence, but this chain is twisting, is bending, is somehow folded in a very difficult way to predict in a 3D, in a 3 dimension. And the way it is folded is also determining what this protein is doing, the quality, the features of this protein. So this is a very big, complex problem to analyze. very difficult because fundamentally, even from a statistical point of view, the kind of combination of the different rings of the chain and the way this could be twisted, the shape it could have, is so big that even the most powerful of the supercomputer we have, it has been estimated a supercomputer able to put a possible configuration every fraction of a nanosecond would take the equivalent of 200 times the age of the universe, really to find the right form of the protein with the right sequence of amino acids. So it's a computational challenge, and therefore it has been historically addressed by life science in a very experimental way. So fundamentally, the way it was done was through experiments where they were freezing a protein, and then they were throwing a light beam into the frozen protein, and based on the way the light was split, was reflected, they were able to estimate, to determine experimentally the kind of three-dimensional shape of the protein. As you can imagine, a pretty complex articulated model. So John Kendrew, a British biochemist of the University of Cambridge, was the first one to show how to do that. It took 12 years of his hard work to be able to reconstruct the 3D form of the first protein. He won the Nobel Prize in 1962, but in spite of his really incredible discovery, in the next decades, only no more than 100 new proteins were discovered. The structure was modeled through experiments. And as you can imagine, even today, or at least until yesterday, because there is a great news I'm about to share, creating, modeling the structure of a protein was really time consuming, and it was costing a lot of money. And this had an immediate impact, for example, in pharmaceutical research, because a lot of the bets on new molecules or on new proteins, which could have developed new medicines, were wrong because of that and were costing money. Only 3% of the medicine, in theory, starting the trials and finally getting the final approval, only 3% were really hitting the market. And therefore, as you can understand, the pharmaceutical research was very expensive, and it was also very unfair. If you had a disease which was a rare disease, probably not big enough to justify so many investments to find a cure, you were probably left behind, and that was definitely not good. So we need to consider also these ethical things when we talk about the power of artificial intelligence. So there was a kind of great idea from a gentleman whose name is John Moult. He's a biologist of the University of Maryland. I think he's British, but he was in the University of Maryland. And it was in the 1994, and I couldn't give up on this big problem, this big showstopper for the life science. And so he decided to create the CASP, which was the Critical Assessment of Structural Prediction. So it was a context, and the context was about designing a computer model able to take as an input a sequence of amino acids and able to generate the 3D structure of the equivalent protein. So it was trying to take advantage of the modern computer science really to tackle this unsolved big showstopper in life science. So every year there was this competition. They were meeting in Monterey in California, and there were different teams presenting different ideas, and fundamentally, they were trying to figure out how to solve the problem. One of the idea came from a biochemist of the University of Washington, David Baker, and he had the idea to install a piece of software in the computer of students all around the world, willing, of course, to participate. And that software was able to use the spare capacity, computing capacity of those distributed computers to participate to the computational big effort to decode the structure of proteins. So it was a great idea, but it was even greater the follow-up to that idea, because it was putting, for example, a screen saver on these computers where the people could see the progress of this computing in trying to bet the 3D model of the protein. And this challenges some, game players at that time, and they found probably something intriguing in that process. And they think they could have tried to do something better than the computer. So Baker lately created a video game called Foldit, which was challenging the video gamers all around the world to bet which was the structure of a protein, I think, of an enzyme of the HIV virus. And all in a sudden, this bunch of game fans were able to identify that structure in a very good way. And so he has understood that probably there was a great potential in combining the computer science with the human creativity and imagination. And that was really the first breakthrough. And during the CASP, when this Rosetta and this Foldit were presented, there was a big improvement in the accuracy of the prediction of the structure of the proteins. But it was not good enough, because CASP set a specific rule, and they said until we don't reach, given 100% the experimental structure of a protein, until we are not able through a computer model to reach 90% accuracy, it's not acceptable. And they didn't reach 90% accuracy. They didn't even came close to that. And after a while, in spite of these great ideas, they reached a plateau, and they were even declining. So they were not able to get closer to this end result, end goal. And there was a little bit of disappointment within the community. So for several years, there were no progresses. It's funny, because sometimes in life you see, I mean, coincidences are also interesting. So a guy, Demis Hassabis, who is now very famous, but at that time he was just the founder of a company called DeepMind, and he was also a chess player. So he had this kind of gamer aim, and he was playing with this Fold ID, and he had an idea. So he went back to his team of a bunch of guys. I think initially they were 13, and he's a British neuroscientist. So he had the right background, the right combination of life and computer sciences. And he fundamentally decided to use his expertise to try to address this problem. By the way, he was already famous because at that time DeepMind created AlphaGo, which was a bot playing this strange game, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently it's very famous in the East, which is called Go. And in 2016, his bot beaten the world champion of this game. So this had to make DeepMind very popular, and these were the early successes of artificial intelligence. It's very funny how artificial intelligence is quite often. There is also another example about poker games I will talk about in another video. how artificial intelligence and gaming, learning from the way humans are playing games, that's the way I would define that, is turning in some breakthroughs of this technology. It's really interesting. Anyhow, Dennis Hassabis came back, and with his team, he decided to kickstart the project AlphaFold. And AlphaFold was really the idea to use artificial intelligence. They use, I think, a visual AI model in the beginning, and which is about the 3D projection of the position of a body, for example. So it was somehow resembling the idea of the 3D model of a protein, and they started to train this model with the database of well-known available experimental models of proteins, which was around, I think, 150,000 proteins. And then they started to compete. In 2018, they showed up and they at CASP, and it was immediately a great success. So they reached something very close to 80%. So AlphaFold 1 was a breakthrough, and this gave them the idea that this was really the way to go. But it was not good enough. It was not enough accurate. So they had to come back, and they decided to do something different. First of all, they have hired John Jumper, who is a US biochemist, and to lead this AlphaFold project. And they have decided to change something. One point very, very interesting here is that they didn't use extra computing capacity, so they didn't use the brutal force to solve the problem, but they rather changed the AI algorithms. And very often today we think that it's just a matter of a more powerful chipset. Well, it's not. Most likely, I think between having a more powerful chipset and a better AI algorithm, I would pick the second one. It's much more powerful, and there will be many examples I'm glad to share with you moving forward. Anyhow, they use transformers, first of all. So they use fundamentally the same large language model we use today, which is very popular, simply because a large language model is able to pull together the right sequence of tokens, so fundamentally of pieces of words. And well, it was something similar because it was a matter of pulling together a sequence of amino acids, okay, instead of words. So the concept was pretty similar, but they did add something more. They did analyze, for example, where there were changes in the sequence of well-known proteins, and they noticed that the changes were not coming alone. And when there was a change in one ring, there was a change also in another one, because fundamentally this was a signal that those two rings were in the 3D space, they were close to each other. So if you change one and, for example, you replace one which is negatively charged with another one which is positively charged, also another one has to change, otherwise they repel each other. And so fundamentally, they use this couple of combination, which they call coevolution, as a sign of 3D proximity. So they combine together geometrical rules with fundamentally a transformer, and through a very complex articulated combination of these two informations exchanging with each other and cycling this multiple times, they came out with this new stuff, which was with this new model, which was AlphaFold 2. And AlphaFold 2 went 2 years later to CASP, and they made it. They reach more than 90% accuracy, and in some cases their prediction of the 3D structure of a protein through their model was as accurate as the experimental one. So it was an incredible breakthrough, and this bunch of guys, because we're not talking about more than 20 people, they managed to completely revolutionize life science. So think that at that time, they were using the entire database of experimentally understood proteins structures, which was 150,000. And in a matter of literally months, AlphaFold 2 was able to predict 200 millions of proteins, fundamentally each and every protein structure belonging to life on this planet. So this was something which I would say we could define a gigantic leap forward in life science, but probably it's not a good description. It should be something more than that. And this was done by a model which is now available, which is now available to everybody. And that's why in 2024, John Jumper, and as well as the founder of DeepMind, as well as David Baker, they won the Nobel Prize on chemistry. It's also interesting that David Baker, the one of the Rosetta software, of the Fold IT game, he won the Nobel Prize, not for Rosetta, but he won the Nobel Prize for another model he has created, which was able to design a brand new protein, starting from a description of what the protein should do. And it's called RF diffusion. So you see how, I mean, combining together the creativity of people with the powerful technology like AI is like opening really a door to a new universe. And since then on, so we're talking about 2020, I think this science got really an incredible improvement. There is a famous sentence from a professor of university who said, what took us months and years to do, AlphaFold was able to do in a weekend. Well, that's the story I just wanted to tell you, because this is the potential of AI if it's properly used. Today we have AlphaFold 3, which incorporates DNA, RNA, and many other things. And it's being used in life science everywhere. So now I think the research in new cures, new medicines could be quicker, could cost less. If you have a rare disease, you have a hope that someone will use a cheap computer science to simulate the cure that one day will fix your problem. So as you can see, I mean, AI is like any technology. If it's in the right hands, if it's properly used, is an incredible breakthrough for humankind. And so I think this was a nice story I just wanted to share with you. Of course, as any technology in humankind, it could be incredibly well used to the advantage of people and humankind, but it's also posing some challenges. So this happened for all the technologies. Technologies are not good or bad. It's the way you use technologies which could be good or bad. And there are certain concerns about this technology. You can use it in a lab without too much money, to be honest. It doesn't require so much, and therefore it's available to everybody. And you never know if everybody will try to use that to design a new medicine to cure people, or to maybe create something a little bit worse than that. I don't want to spend more comment on that, but this is the challenge ahead of us that technology is posing. And it's not that kind of extreme. There are also other challenges, and I would like to give you one, and you decide if it's a good one or a bad one. Today, the kind of understanding of life science we are having, thanks to the advantage created by AI and these modern technologies, is so incredible that there are many studies which are predicting that by 2030 we will crack the secret of longevity, or if you want, we will be able to at least slow down aging, even not stopping aging. So you may think, great, wonderful. I personally think it's wonderful because if I'm lucky, I could still take advantage of that. But think that we live on a planet with limited resources. So this will pose a big question mark to a humanity which is still more focused on triggering wars versus thinking as humankind, as belonging to the same um, uh, kind of animal versus trying to kill each other. So as you can see, I'm smiling about that, but every new technology revolution is posing a lot of challenges. Um, let's see, definitely the power of um, the technology we created combined with the um, logic of nature, with the logic of biology, is absolutely capable of making this world much better. And the decision is up to us. Okay, and we at Cisco, um, we offer to our customer today a complete, comprehensive stack of computing and software for pharmaceutical companies, for research labs, for everybody who has to deal with life science to take advantage of this technology. You can run on top of, for example, an AI pod from Cisco. You can run, for example, NVIDIA AI Enterprise stack, and on top of that, you can install the pre-configured microservices which are delivering the AlphaFold models. So it's very simple and it's a validated design by Cisco together with a partnership with NVIDIA. So it's very simple to have it in a research center and to really start the use of artificial intelligence in medical research. I believe that given the current improvements in life science, where, for example, we are already thinking to um, medicines designed and shaped around the DNA of a person, so custom medicines, all these kind of tools will become very soon, in a matter of months, if not less, one of the critical medical instruments you must have in your lab, in your research center. And we at Cisco, we can offer a very easy to deploy and to run a solution because it's comprehensive, it's fully packaged, fully set up, and can be delivered by our partners. I think it's also important to understand that AlphaFold comes also as a public model, which could be downloaded by everybody from GitHub, for example, or requested to Google. And this could run on other type of infrastructure. For example, at Cisco, we also support our computing stack with, for example, AMD GPUs. And therefore, I mean, we offer full flexibility to our customers to decide to go for a pre-validated, ready to be used solution, or a little bit more custom kind of solution, which will allow the customer to decide exactly which components, which kind of hardware they would like to use. So it's our approach, flexibility for our customers, everything, of course, backed by us, by Cisco, and by the comprehensive solution we offer to our customers. So in our portfolio, we also have partnership with software vendors who are offering a comprehensive environment for medical research. One of those is, for example, SoftServe, and they offer a solution really to generate novel compounds, to predict the target properties of new medicine, new molecules, to rank candidates, etc. So in case you're interested, I mean, Cisco is part of its ecosystem of partnership around AI can really help you with those kind of solutions. And very much important, it's not just about AlphaFold. As I said, after this breakthrough, a lot of other models have been developed and are available. For example, with our partnership with NVIDIA, and we can offer on top of our infrastructure, on top of our AI pod, a lot of other NIMs you can find in the product catalog, which are offering a lot of medical tools for research. I mean, we are literally talking about tens of different models which could be used across the research in life sciences. So I would like to encourage to have a look at that, because I'm really sure there is a great advantage for our customers, for the research institutions, for the pharmaceutical companies, and I'm really sure also for medical facilities pretty soon. Again, very glad if this is useful information, because it's helping the business, but it's also helping, I would say, humankind to head in the right direction and take advantage of technology for people, which is something we should never forget. I would like to thank you very much for listening to this video. If you like it, please subscribe my channel. I plan to record many more because the more we know about this ongoing revolution, the better it is, because we can contribute to use it to the advantage of each of us. Okay? Thank you. Ciao.